episode of 575 Ounces, the most consistent cricket show on the planet ever. Consistent in getting all our predictions wrong. How, you ask? Siddhant Tani, Vaibhav Raghunandan and Arjun Pandit. In our first episode, we said कि 500 का आंकड़ा तोड़ा जाएगा इस वर्ल्ड कप में. क्या हुआ भाई?
कुछ नहीं हुआ भाई.
कुछ 250 नहीं बन रहे थे.
250
नहीं, ये ऑलमोस्ट 400 बन गए थे.
सर प्लीज एक मुकाबले में अफगानिस्तान के खिलाफ विद इंग्लैंड. Okay, then came the third episode after India-Pakistan, where we said India-Pak rivalry does not exist, which is correct in some way or the other, but we also said that Pakistan doesn't have any chance of making it far in this World Cup. क्या हुआ उसमें?
They almost made the semi-finals. So wrong again. Then came, of course, the episode after that, where
although again there's no like prizes for going home. I mean, almost से क्या होता है?
चलो ठीक है.
यही वाला लॉजिक है ना इस कंपटीशन
उसके बाद इंडिया वर्सेस अफगानिस्तान का हमने प्रीव्यू कहा, जहां हमने कहा कि अफगानिस्तान इज ऑल ओवर द प्लेस. दे मे बी डू नॉट डिजर्व टू बी इन द टॉप 10 ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंड? अफगानिस्तान ran India close into the final over. Afghanistan ran Pakistan close to the final over.
There's no prizes for losing a game, bro.
I still feel we got it wrong. We were wrong. Okay, then came the preview for India versus England in the league phase. And there we said India will win. India will win. And then kya hua?
India didn't want to win.
England won.
Batting practice, that was next.
Batting practice.
That day.
And then came the best
nets.
one. Yeah, the best one was this one. That we said कि semi-final जो होगा, it'll be India versus England. And then it'll be Australia taking on New Zealand. Semi-finals क्या खेले गए?
India versus New Zealand.
Australia, England.
But then came the only prediction which has been correct
Absolutely.
in this entire series of episodes that we've been getting it wrong. The man on our left.
The hipster.
The hipster. The wise one.
The only one who actually follows cricket in
the only one who actually follows cricket had called
England, New Zealand.
Aye, that's the way to go.
So first and foremost, सर आपने ये क्या देखकर आपने ये ऐसी बात बोली जो आपके सामने इतने वरिष्ठ किस्म के पत्रकार थे जो क्रिकेट को इतना फॉलो करते हैं, आपने ये क्या तिगड़ा लगाया जो आपने ये सही कॉल किया?
Sir, I think you guys got too much into the specifics of the situation. And I think you also lost track of the multiple other variables that go into a cricket game.
तो आप बता दो सर ये क्या है? क्योंकि इसके आगे भी कुछ बोलना चाहिए.
I mean,
आप
did you think that New Zealand's midfield was stronger?
क्योंकि आपने इतना क्रिकेट जो खेला है, आप जो बाहर गली में खेलते हैं, रणजी में खेलते हैं, दियोदर ट्रॉफी में खेलते हैं, दुलीप में खेलते हैं, ये क्या वेरिएबल हमने मिस कर दिया यहाँ पे जो आपने नहीं किया?
Actually, समय ठीक चल रहा है.
चलो ठीक है
बस. All the planets are aligned.
Everything is aligned, and we believe in that. And planets have been aligned for England and New Zealand because the final of the World Cup, come the 14th of July, will be played between these two teams, which means come the 14th of July, one new team will be walking away with the World Cup.
Winners.
First time ever. England, of course, making the final after 1992. New Zealand making the final after the last edition, that being in 2015, where they lost to Australia. So, of course, the build-up to that big game is the topic of our discussion on 575 Ounces. First and foremost, whenever I was talking to people, and you know, you talk about rivalries, England and New Zealand is always been regarded as a very friendly rivalry.
New Zealand's rivalry with everyone is fairly friendly. Yeah.
Fairly friendly, I agree. Both the captains get along with each other, Owen Morgan, Kane Williamson. And keeping that in mind, it would be fair to say that it won't be a very tense and cagey affair. Like you generally, you know, the way you sort of, you know.
Oh, you mean like, yeah.
Yeah, it won't be that kind of, like if it would have been a Australia-England, if it would have been a India versus England or an India versus Australia, the intensity and all that's happening around it would have certainly, you know, would have, of course, added up. यहाँ पे I don't think that is going to happen. Also probably because England has always been earmarked to win this World Cup. And they've sort of had that belief in themselves ever since they decided to change direction after the 2015 World Cup. तो थोड़ा मजा आएगा इस मुकाबले में क्योंकि वो सब बाहर की चीजें नहीं देखने को मिलेंगी. So you'll just see, of course, pure athleticism and, you know, whoever's very good at whatever they do, that is going to be talking.
That's true. There's not going to be, I mean, that the external factor of psychological warfare and this and that and all kinds of history, all that is not going to play a part. I think it's just going to be a game of cricket, which is ideally what you want a final to be like, perhaps.
Yeah, and also the fact that
not at all, I guess. I mean, not when you have 8 hours to watch it, and I think
I kind of agree with that. Yeah,
the thing that makes cricket so I guess so much of a draw for so many of us is that there's so much other storytelling going on around it. And
yeah, but
yeah,
you don't
sure,
want
once
the
in a while-
Bahar ka storytelling to have an impact on what's happening on the field. Na? That's my point. I said if that day Bolt is swinging the ball like mad and he gets the better of Jason Roy, then that's, on merit he's got the better of Jason Roy. But all that Bahar ka spiel that follows England, ki,
Or
it's
any
coming
of these
home
big
and ye
teams,
ho
like
raha
in
hai.
all fairness, like that's perhaps one of the reasons why New Zealand consistently go under the radar and do really well, because they don't have this Bahar ka storyline at any point of time with anyone. Whether they play India, okay, they play Australia, there's a certain amount of rivalry which is actually not generated because of cricket. It's generated because of rugby, it's generated because of that Tasman geographical rivalry.
Derby.
Yeah, Tasman Derby, and it's, you can see that the New Zealanders are fairly like,
Also, it's never considered to be
Nice.
the end of the world if you lost a game
Yeah, and-
in New Zealand.
I don't know.
यहाँ पे India में I was reading the report that because their flights have not yet been booked,
Yeah.
they've been holed up in the rooms since they've lost that semi-final. ऐसा I don't the Indian team,
Indians.
yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, right.
In the
'cause-
sense
oh,
that they haven't
can't
moved
get out.
around. They haven't
Yeah,
moved
yeah.
around. No, it's
Right,
not that you
dude.
can't get
Ah,
out,
yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
just not coming out because वो जो झटका पड़ा है, still haven't been able to get over it. वैसा I think New Zealand में है नहीं. If you look both the captains extremely calm in body language, right? They don't let too many things phase them out. Was reading something on Owen Morgan and the team that when they decided to flip the switch to how England approaches cricket, which was post the 2015 World Cup. Or in fact, it was during the 2015 World Cup, during one of those losses, I think to Bangladesh or something, where they said, look, we need to flip the switch. And just the fact that it's easier said than done. We've changed our approach. But the amount of things you had to change in order to have that approach, the amount of people you had to blindly trust and follow the process, and all of that has come together to, get them
Can
to
I
where
ask
they
what
are
the
right now.
old approach was and what the new approach is? Or is it
The
too
old
much
approach, the old
backstory?
approach was basically that how ODI cricket was basically being played in the past, where you have your batsmen who will come in, they won't go on too aggressive.
it was a very traditional.
You play till deep, right? You have your 6 batsmen, you have your 4 bowlers, you have that one all-rounder in there. Yahan pe they said in 50 over format, we can't have that. We want people who bat till 8-9. So if you're a bowler, that doesn't mean you can't come in there and contribute with the runs. The approach which is being started by Jason Roy and a Johnny Bairstow up top, nowhere down the order, irrespective of when you lose the wicket, should someone, of course, you play according to the situation, but once you've gotten through the situation, you play with that approach of taking on the bowlers. So you're always trying to, get one up on the bowlers rather than them, of course, coming in and you're holding back and you're holding back and you're holding back and letting the pressure build up. They identified their players, man. Yeah, I honestly feel why this final is going to be fun is because you've got Archer, Vokes, 2 zipping good fast bowlers. On the other hand, you've got Henry, you've got Bolt,
And
you've got
Lockie
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
So that for me makes it an interesting contest, man. And to say that this, a lot of people are saying this World Cup is not going to be an interesting one. The bat is going to overpower the ball. It hasn't been the case at all.
I suppose all the chatter about why a World Cup is happening in England in the first place, this is why. Probably.
Because
The
they don't really have a
conditions-
summer.
Yeah. The conditions are such that it and
It brings
and of course,
everyone
like,
in, yeah.
And even for India, I mean, if you look at, yeah, sure, Rohit Sharma had a cracker over tournament, but like it was the bowling that was at the forefront of how India were playing, and
Yeah.
perhaps if we had in the semi-finals won that toss, things the
But you know what?
I
situation
think
would
we
have been
bowled very
reversed.
well anyway. Like, I
No,
don't-
Yeah,
India
we bowled
bowled
well.
well.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we had set a target, I think
perhaps
given that
then.
the bowlers were on the ascendancy in this tournament,
Yeah, perhaps.
the guy should have shown. I mean, he lost the toss, so there was nothing much he could do.
How do you guys see this game playing out, man? England versus New Zealand.
Oh, is this like a predictor
Oh,
again?
so we're
No,
gonna
I don't know if
predict,
it's a
is it?
predictor.
You guys might as well not bother.
देखो ये हमने सात
just-
You
episodes
know what?
में
I'm
डाला।
going to
just
go
tell you
on a
who
wing
wins.
and I'm going to say that England are going to win via the DLS method.
Wow. I think New Zealand are going to take it.
I think New Zealand is in a bit of an issue. England goes in as favourite because their openers have not been doing anything, man. Williamson has always been coming out to
Yeah,
bat in the
and
second or third over.
always.
And even after that, there are not too many batsmen who've been holding fort.
I mean, Martin Guptill's greatest moments of the World Cup have all got to do with fielding.
Yeah,
Some
man.
spectacular catches and a spectacular run out.
And how many people have been saying Martin Guptill is coming good? Now Martin Guptill is ready to play a big innings. Now Martin Guptill is ready to play a big innings. Final आ गया है. Abhi tak Martin Guptill has not done anything in the World Cup. And the truth be told, they don't have another batsman of Guptill's quality. Otherwise, Guptill would have been out a long time back. You know, because you've got Colin Munro there, who's already been dropped. Now you've put Henry Nichols over there, who also was very slow versus India, but sort of the approach helped because those 20-30 runs made a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I was making a lot of fun of Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor, and Henry
they
Nichols
assessed
when
the
they were
situation,
batting.
man.
Yeah, I know. I was making a lot of fun of them for forgetting that this was a one-day match and going the test route, but it seems to have made.
That made the difference, all the difference, to be honest.
I also really like the fact that the game was split over 2 days.
I really like that. I think a 2-day international is the perfect way to go
Really?
about this.
Guys, ICC, if you're thinking of new format.
I know you guys are watching this show.
No, but I'm dragging this back to the final, because while on the one hand, New Zealand is very frail as far as batting is concerned. England, even if you get past Johnny Bairstow and Jason Roy, they've hit 4 opening century stands, man, in 6 innings.
I think Joe Root
6 innings,
has
that's a World Cup record, So I'm saying even if you get past them, then you have Joe Root, then you have
exactly.
Morgan, then you have Stokes, then you have Butler, and then there is of course Chris Vokes who can bat. There's Archer who can bat. Yeah, I mean Archer can come in and make those 50.
Yeah, I don't see this I mean, I think England should be getting their first World Cup.
I honestly hope England, whoever wins the toss, puts England's bats first. England bats first, you don't have that pressure of defending a total, and then Henry and Bolt and Ferguson come in with that raw pace and just intimidate them, man, with that pace, because you've got that pace. This Ferguson is clocking close to 150, man.
And he has such a lazy action. Like, I'm sorry, but he does not look like he should be clocking 150. Like, he does not look like Brett Lee or Shoaib Akhtar or even Mitchell Stark. Those guys, when they're coming, steaming in, you can feel ki, oh, yep, this is going to be fast. Like, he has such a tennis ball action.
Yeah, and while we're talking about the Pacers, man, I think sir, आप बोर हो रहे हो, मैं थोड़ा
I was about to leave the building.
Spinners की बात करनी पड़ेगी यार.
Yeah, I think
Adil Rashid यार. You saw the
so he really understands leg spin, man.
No, I'll tell you how there are 2 really solid spinners on either side, man, because Adil Rashid expensive, but started getting the wickets. Santana not getting too many wickets, but maintains the pressure by not giving away too many runs.
Santana is basically like, as soon as Vettori retired, I think they went into the nearest school and they found the guy who was teaching geography and said, hey, left arm spin, yes, here you go.
He's been really good, man.
He's outstanding. I love these.
See, at least I get the references.
Yeah, see, you get it.
Itna bhi bura nahi hai.
These bespectacled left arm, slow left arm New Zealanders are lovely. I love them.
Sir, because you're the only one who's got our predictions correct so far.
Kya
bola aapne?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
100%. We started with anyone but England and we're sticking to anyone but England.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I can't stick to anyone but England because this is just now like...
Oh, you're being objective, is it?
Yeah, I'm being objective. I think England is too strong.
Objectivity or not, if you are betting people, you listen to me. Baki aap log dekh lijiye, experts ki
be real, guys. Be real.
Okay, so fine. So let it be on record: England, New Zealand.
England via DLS.
England still, na, but at the end of the day.
DLS कैसे यार? 2 दिन है.
Okay, दोस्त, ये तो फाइनल की बात हो गई.
But वैसे I'll be watching the Wimbledon final that day.
Thank you so much for validating this show, sir, for coming on the show and talking about cricket. I mean, we search so hard to find the right kind of guests to come and talk cricket.
Absolutely.
With so much passion.
And it's always lovely when a guy comes on a cricket show and says that, you know what, I'm going to watch Wimbledon final.
ठीक है सर, आपसे ही शुरू करता हूँ. The World Cup has gone by.
Lewis Hamilton is in 2 minds about whether to race the race or to watch the cricket or to watch the tennis.
Fair enough.
So मतलब
मैं
क्या चीज़?
सर 40-45 दिन का वर्ल्ड कप खत्म होने को आ रहा है.
जी.
And फील्ड की तो बातें हो गई हैं. Of course आपके सामने दिख रहा है who's in the final. But as regards to what's happening outside the field, there was so much as well, right?
Yeah.
As comes with any big world tournament.
As comes with anything that goes on for 45 days.
45 days, man. So for you, some of the highlights for what's happened outside of the field over this last 45-50 days?
Yeah, I feel like there was a few sort of conversations that were generated, quite pertinent conversations to some extent. The first was Michael Holding. In the context of, yeah, for sure.
We need more people like him.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but.
Much easier said than done.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know what his contract.
At least tell us what the thing was then.
No, essentially it's about how commentary is done, what the purpose of those commentators are, or is.
Call it as it is.
Yeah. And also bring insight into the game, because you're not just some guy who's a broadcaster or a presenter, right? You have a wealth of knowledge and experience and stories and all of that.
Thanks.
Not you, not you, Michael.
I know. So you're not just a presenter.
No.
You have a wealth of stories and all to add.
So
Agreed.
I mean, you're not a presenter at all. In fact, presenters are the guys whose faces are important. These are the guys in the comms box.
Yeah, they toe a
And you're not a
certain line.
PR guy either who's
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to promote.
Agreed.
So, I mean, everyone in the world does it the same way, where the broadcaster pays the people that are doing the broadcast
Come
to
and
do
give
their
them,
job, right? And they are all paying for rights. They're all rights holders who spend money on the rights. But that doesn't have to make it a PR exercise. You look at how commentary happens in the NBA, for example. They're having real conversations, not just about the sport, but how that impacts the world around it, how things can develop, what's happening with the game at large. And when you have an 8-hour-long game, that's fundamental to the conversation. Otherwise, what is the purpose of having commentary? यार दिख तो सबको रहा है क्या हो रहा है
I think
field
what
पे.
NBAs realize and what a lot of people don't realize is that when you have honest conversations, that in turn helps in popularizing the sport even more. Because a lot more people talk about it, a lot more people get involved in the conversation.
Yeah, the reason we get involved is because things are relatable, right? Either characters are relatable or stories are relatable or whatever, something that strikes some kind of a chord. Now, how are we going to find out those stories if all commentators are allowed to talk about what's happening there? How are we going to have these discussions around it? What is, otherwise, हम जैसे बैठ के बात
No,
कर रहे
absolutely.
हैं.
Like the purpose of a commentator is also to spark a discussion. Like it's
Yeah.
necessary to do that, and whether you agree with it or not, or whatever, whichever way you fall on the argument,
Spectrum, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Like,
दूसरी
I
बात
can
ये
tell
थी
you,
कि I was expecting कि इतना जितना बातचीत हुआ उतना नहीं होगा. So I was sort of pleasantly surprised that at least a few people, even if it's people on the fringes, right? They are not mainstream like the
Who are you
regular.
talking about?
Whether it's holding or some of the associate nations that have
Why?
come out very strongly to voice their opinions on being excluded from the
Which is a good
tournament.
thing.
So of course it's a good thing, yeah. I didn't expect it to happen
My
to the
only thing
extent that it
with
did.
holding is that if this was a holding of 20 years back, 30 years back, who just retired from his cricket and is now looking for a second innings in his life, would he have then come out and said something versus the ICC?
Yeah.
No, seriously, sir,
You know,
because that is
sorry.
the big dilemma
Okay,
for
so-
anyone speaking out.
So
No, can I
कि
also
हमें
say-
काम आगे मिलेगा
the
Can I
नहीं।
tell
people who
you-
are speak काम मिलेगा या नहीं क्या
Can I
बात
tell you
कर रहे
that?
हैं यार
सर उनको आप गलत नहीं बोल
आप
सकते।
अगर सचिन तेंदुलकर हैं आपको काम की क्या जरूरत है अगर आप नहीं बोल सकते हैं तो कौन बोल सकता है इस दुनिया
सर
में
सबकी वांट सबकी चाहत अलग होती है
Sir.
आपकी चाहत ये होगी तो you might be happy with that, someone else might not be happy with that,
नहीं,
they might
तो-
want to stretch somewhere else.
यार
See, my point is, a lot of people when they're not talking about these things, you think everyone is having these conversations, some are happening behind closed doors, some are saying it right now, like holding, and people like us are talking about it.
Sure.
But the only thing is, when someone doesn't come out and say something, I think it is wrong to point fingers at them because we're not realizing what they might lose.
No, it's so okay, fair enough. I don't think that's the case, by the way. All I'm saying is
A
that
majority of it is.
there is something to lose. But if you're a person that himself or, well, okay, the herselves are not included because they are in that position where they have to toe the line.
Yeah.
The women commentators, for sure. I get that. But if you're a guy who's retired after captaining India or England or Australia, you have millions in the bank. What is this sort of desperation to be included in this system that you can't speak? I mean, no one is asking you to like do sort of anti-corruption investigations. It's just basic.
Subjective choice, sir.
Of course, it's a subjective choice.
You might feel
it's really
some way,
unfortunate
but
that
the person who's being denied a job because he is too much of a muffat or is not towing the bigger picture. That person might feel in a different way, ना वो कहेगा यार कि मैं okay. Here is a stint in commentary talking about all ICC big events, 5 years, and here is this one comment which might just take this all away.
That's exactly what I'm saying. This is the problem. That's what it's become like, and that's what I'm saying. Like we don't know what will happen with holding.
I don't think anything's going to happen. with
I mean,
holding, holding
doesn't
himself.
matter. Like honestly speaking, like I don't think he cares.
But yeah, my simple point was that only, that if you have achieved a certain like
Level of-
massive, whether it's based on your economic situation or just what your stature is owing to what you've done in your previous career. You should owe it to yourself to have the integrity to speak the way you want to speak.
Absolutely.
Fair enough,
Yeah.
but easier said than done.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another one.
I mean, as it is, professional broadcasters, and you know this, I mean, as well as anyone, the jobs for professional broadcasters or people who are journalists are getting fewer and fewer in the visual medium, because everyone wants only people with experience of having played the game at the highest level, right? So as it is, आप किसी और की नौकरी तो ले ही रहे हैं.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
तो इतना क्या डेस्परेशन है आपको मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट भी बनना है, आपको कमेंट्री भी करनी है, आपको रेस्टोरेंट भी चलाना है,
सर, ये
हर चीज.
This is a subjective thing. The next one that we're bringing up is the talk of the format. Right, and this is because, of course, after India lost the semi-final, and there are reports in the media that the coach of the Indian team is questioning the format. There are former players who are questioning the format, saying maybe we should have an IPL-style playoff. I'm like, what? How can I have an IPL-style? IPL को World Cup के साथ आप compare ही कैसे कर सकते हो यार?
क्योंकि इंडिया अगर इंडिया फाइनल में नहीं पहुंच रही है तो उसको एक और मौका मिलना चाहिए. क्या गलत बात है?
That is ridiculous, man.
In essence, like the World Cup is like that only, no? Like without India.
Sorry, by India I mean BCCI.
Sir, जो भी हो, it is ridiculous to even suggest that maybe you should have a IPL style playoff. It is ridiculous to even mention IPL in the same breath as the World Cup. So the thing is, this whole playoff business is, I hope no one brings it up, man. I mean,
absolutely.
If you bring it up, then just
please
don't mention IPL in the same breath, please.
The next World Cup is being held in India. I feel like the new format for the World Cup, for the next World Cup, should be the big three plus a lottery pick, and they play each other for a month, and whoever wins the most number of games in that month wins the World Cup.
यहाँ पे यार एक placard लगा दो, sarcastic, throughout the show. ठीक है, अब
I would be really excited to see a bigger World Cup. Like,
of course, absolutely. A World Cup, you mean?
Man, it's fair enough. This conversation.
So yeah, we'll do it after 4 years.
But for you, the big this thing. Outside the field, big talking point.
Outside the field, just outside the field, the big talking point is the big paunch of Lasith Malinga. I love that whole situation, the way it played out, where someone got a screen grab of Malinga walking topless in the dressing room, and immediately there was lots of comments like there usually are about he's unfair. I love that, committed this, that.
Body shaming.
Man, Lasith Malinga does not need abs to bowl the way he does, yeah.
See, I think that sort of brings about the point of experience is also more important than anything else.
I think what it also brings about, perhaps, like, I don't know if I'm going too far saying this, that cricket is more about skill than it is about...
And situational awareness.
Absolutely. Situational awareness, game IQ, just things like that are more.
Yeah, much more. Because see, what Malinga was doing is he was outthinking the batsman. Yeah?
Always.
उसमें सर मेरे पहुंच यहाँ पहुंची उससे कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. उसने स्लोअर वन डाल दी, उसने यॉर्कर डाल दिया अंदर, उसने कटर डाल दिया. Batsman सोच रहा है मलिंगा क्या डालेगा, you know, and he's getting the better of them. Not saying that all cricketers should have a paunch, but of course the quality of Malinga, the experience of Malinga can't be achieved by everyone.
Also, it's his body, I'm sure, and he's been now a pro for like
more than a
years
decade.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's his body. I'm sure he's aware of what his limitations are and he's changing his game accordingly, how hard he can and cannot work off the field. I don't know.
And I read this piece, like a very good piece.
If he and his trainer are happy and his coach is happy.
And I read this piece about Malinga where the writers go on, he's visited Malinga and he goes to his village and everything, and then he does an interview with Malinga. And right at the end of that interview, they say goodbye to each other, and it's now going to be evening, there is no batsman in the nets, nothing. So he says that usually when you see this happening, then you see the cricketers go hit a gym or do some, push-ups, like do a little bit of physical work. What Malinga did was, he went and put 2 cones where he thought the batsman's feet would be, and he put like about 20 balls near his bowling mark, and just started going and just bowling up.
Yeah, I know, totally. Finally, no mention of this World Cup can be enough. I think no mention of any world sporting event will take place without what's happened in social media. And the stuff that's come out of social media. Of course, the first one has to be what happened after the India-Pak game, where I thought those guys scripted it perfectly.
Yeah, that fast food promotion.
Yeah, the pizza, burger. I mean, that guy was hilarious, man. Even though he wasn't doing it.
You know who was hilarious? His friend.
मुझे पता चला कल रात ये लोग बर्गर खाते रहे, कल रात ये लोग पिज़्ज़े खाते रहे.
His friend was just too hilarious, man. वो कभी चश्मे निकाल रहा है, कभी आँख साफ
It was
कर रहा है.
like live trolling.
All these things were planned, and these kids, both these guys, they go to reputable colleges in England, man. कहाँ पे? I think Oxford या कहीं पे पढ़ाई कर रहे थे ये लोग यार. So not
Social
bad.
media stars.
स्मार्ट
हमें लग रहा था इस्लामाबाद से ये लोग भाग के आए हुए यहाँ पे बकवास कर रहे हैं, पर
हमारी
बड़े
तरह
लिखे
नहीं
लोग
है,
हैं.
सबकी पहुंच जाते हैं, सुबह सुबह लिख के आते हैं लोग,
लिख के
क्या
आते
बोलना
हैं,
होता
सही
है,
बात
क्या
है.
करना
हाँ, ये
होता
सब
है
पूरा
life में.
प्लान था. एक और जो सोशल मीडिया पर निकला था वो भारत के न्यूजीलैंड के साथ सेमीफाइनल से पहले एक न्यूज़ चैनल ने चलाया था. बड़ा बड़ा उनने यहाँ पे एक बैकग्राउंड में, जैसे हमारे पास बैकग्राउंड है ये, उनने डाला था मोदी जी जिताएंगे सेमीफाइनल. यार ये सर, आप न्यूज़ चैनल में आपने काम किया है
सर.
ये जब एंकर प्रोड्यूसर बैठ के सोचते हैं कि हमें जी एक डालना है, ये शर्म नहीं आती उनको बिल्कुल भी, या शर्म खो चुके हैं वो अपनी?
मैं जिस न्यूज़ चैनल में था उसकी तो बात कर ही नहीं सकते, बिकॉज उनकी जो फिलॉसफी थी उसके कारण तो बेचारों को ऑलमोस्ट बंद ही कर दिया
जी,
है.
हमने भी काम किया.
तो क्या ही कहें उसके बारे में. But yeah, there's supposed to be an editorial process. Apparently, these guys think this is an editorial process. So it's not an anchor and producer deciding what goes
It's an
up.
agenda that's been
Maybe they
given
just
that has to
thought
be
that
driven
he
into
was a
everything.
better number 4 batsman. He would have filled
Oh,
it
yeah,
up.
for sure,
huh?
for sure.
I think.
It's
The debate continues.
ridiculous, man. That was ridiculous. Then the other one was मैच के मुजरिम कौन है? विराट कोहली,
who
रोहित
should-
शर्मा या महेंद्र सिंह धोनी?
Who was responsible for India losing to New Zealand? The simple answer to that
इसमें तो
is
मोदी जी भी नहीं थे
New
यार.
Zealand.
Seriously, man. Ridiculous.
But like my favorite one of these from the after the loss is this one featuring, of course, the two the king and the prince, Modi ji and Virat Kohli. It's 2 in 1, double dhamaka. So producer साहब जरा उसको डाल दीजिएगा.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. So
Have some laughs.
दोस्तों, तो इसी के साथ अंत ख़त्म हुआ हमारा 575 आउंसेस का सिलसिला. अगर हम इसके बाद आपने कभी भी 575 आउंसेस नहीं देखा, so then you can see the 3 people on your screen. They are to be blamed for it squarely because you know, maybe we just didn't do the right things. Or if we get a lot of views, we get more than 5,000, 6,000 views because that's how low our expectations are. Then you never know, we might just start another 575 ounces.
I think it's been a successful World Cup, guys. I don't know
World
why
sir,
you're being so.
575 ounces की बात.
मैं भी, और वर्ल्ड कप शो है यार, तो वर्ल्ड कप सक्सेसफुल होगा तो हम भी सक्सेसफुल होंगे, आई थिंक. और हम ये हमारे मार्केट शेयर का स्टेटिस्टिक डालते हैं यहाँ पे.
हाँ.
0.0000 something percent. The biggest sport in the world.
Any final comments, guys?
Yeah, it's been fun, guys.
आंसू आ रहे हैं,
It's
रोना
been
आ रहा है.
fun. It's been really fun. I got to learn a great deal about this wonderful sport, and I got to make a lot of fun of a lot of rich and powerful people. So that's always good.
Wow. It's tough to follow up with something like that. Bro.
I know.
Okay, let's just
Should we end it then?
put it
Please.
to an end.
Okay, guys, this was the final episode of 575 ounces. आंसू आ रहे हैं पर मैं दिखाना नहीं चाह रहा. फिर मिलेंगे या नहीं वो तो 6000 व्यू के बाद ही पता चलेगा. Thank you so much for watching. England, New Zealand.